I wanted to go back to your bachelor's project because
for sure.
I think the topic was really interesting. Can you describe it briefly?
Yeah, I can try to describe it briefly. Just let me know if I'm going over time on it. But basically, we were investigating the physical function level for multiple sclerosis patients. So yeah, that's a degenerative disease that attacks your central nervous system. And one way to treat it is with medicine, of course, but actually training has been shown to have a very positive effect on the physical function for MS, multiple sclerosis patients. And physical function can be defined as your ability to complete like basic daily tasks, like daily activity thing, like standing up from a chair, sitting down, walking, and stuff like that. So that's basic physical function, and that really your level of physical function really drops over time when you have MS. So then the question was basically like which is better, cardio training like aerobic training or strength training, anaerobic training. And that's what we investigated.
Yeah, nice. How do you develop multiple sclerosis? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, multiple sclerosis. Yeah. That's one of the unclear things. The pathology and the etiology. I studied it in Danish, so I might have the English word wrong, but I think it's etiology. Basically, the whole process behind like why you get the disease and all of that is not clear at the moment. There have been found correlations between low levels of vitamin D and smoking, for example, that can make it worse or increase your chances of getting multiple sclerosis. But as far as genetics, how they play, I mean, there have been observed some genetic, properties that can increase your chances of getting MS, but it's still very unclear. So there's so not scary. A clear answer. It can hit anyone. Yeah, it's really scary.
It's very scary. Yeah, is it? Does it hit your muscles or your joints, your bones?
It hits your central nervous system, so that's your brain all the way down to your spine.
Okay.
So like it can affect you cognitively as well. It's not only physical function; it can also be your like mental ability as well. But let's say it manifests somewhere in your spine. Your spine from the central nervous system goes out to the peripheral nervous system, out to your muscles. So if something is wrong in your spine, it can affect your ability, your function in your grip and in your walking ability and all of that. So it's pretty scary. Yeah, it's really scary. If anyone wants to quit smoking or has a hard time quitting smoking, just reading about a disease like that and knowing that you increase your risk of getting multiple sclerosis, that should be enough. Like I got actually a bit scared just from reading that it could hit anyone. I actually had a friend who got MS. Yeah, and he was actually like really good in calisthenics. Like he was doing handstands and all of that. Yeah. That was a bit scary, man.
How old is he?
He is older than me. He's like 32 or something, and I train with him sometimes. Now he moved to Aarhus, so I haven't seen him for years, but I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, you haven't heard how he's doing?
No.
Interesting. So in your project, you also talked about, as you said, the different training methods that can help. So what was the conclusion on that?
Well, for our bachelor's thesis, basically it looks like a scientific article, and that's how like we should write it more or less. But it's important to know that all the time when you make like a bachelor's thesis and even a master's thesis, it's not a proper scientific article. For example, we were connected to a project which is eventually going to be a proper study, like a scientific article, peer reviewed and all of that. And that's where we got our data from. So when they're done with that project in a few years, they'll have data from, I think it was 100 patients in all, but we only got data from 11 patients. So if you only have 11 subjects in your study, you can't say anything, basically. Like whatever the statistical analyses you make, whatever they show, however significant p-values you find, it's not like significant to say anything. But we're not sure if it was because of coincidence or because there was actually a trend in the data we had, but it showed, as expected, that both training modalities had a positive effect and changed their physical function level. Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand, how does training actually like help? Like, you know what I mean? Like how?
Yeah, so I think that's a big question, but it's basically the same way it helps everyone else. So as you do resistance training, for example, and if you can elicit a hypertrophy response in your muscles, and you can build some muscle and you can activate the motor neurons and basically increase your neural drive and all those things, that's the exact same thing that happens for MS patients as it happens for normal, like non-MS people. So maybe some MS patients won't actually be able to build muscle, but a hypertrophy response can just mean that you'll maintain the muscle you have instead of losing it because of MS. Because if you don't if you're not physically active and you don't do training and you have MS, that can make it even worse. Then your muscle will fade away basically over time when you don't use it. So yeah, that's basically how that goes.
Can you see it physically if you have MS? Like, do you get a lump like with cancer, for example, or how would you know if you have it? Besides, of course, you talked about less cognitive functionality.
Some people, okay, so there are two ways I could answer the question. Like, some people you cannot tell if they have MS, like when you talk to them and stuff. Other people will be in a wheelchair. And the other way I could answer the question is how like we detect MS. I don't know which one you meant, but MR scans can show changes in your spine and some like white matter. This is not something I know a lot about, the methods of detecting it, but you can have radiologically isolated syndrome. That is the first degree of MS you can have, where you just spot like one little thing, and that's often something you see not because you're looking for it, but because you're looking for something else. Then you scan a person and then you see that, and if that develops, it can turn into clinically isolated syndrome, and then after that you can get some of the other types of MS, so it can develop and get worse. Yeah.
Ooh, it really gives me the creeps, man. I have real anxiety for like disease and getting sick. Oh, I hate that stuff.
Yeah, then don't read about it.
Yeah, no, it's scary. It is important to know about it, and important to know how to not get it.
Yeah, and make it better for others.
Who does have it?
Yeah, that was really something I felt was very meaningful with the project we did. Not because our project gives anything significant. We cannot, basically, like, what we can conclude is not necessarily something that reflects anything in the real world, again, because we had so little data. But we were a part of the project as well, in the sense that we were training the MS patients multiple times a week. So that was very meaningful. I felt like working with these people.
Yeah.
And seeing how much joy they had, even though they had this disease, and one of them was in a wheelchair. Like, she was so awesome, and like you find a way to tackle life.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that sort of stuff. It's really cool. I thought it would be fun. I'm changing up subject here before I'm getting a panic attack.
Yes, change.